So when did you open up the store?
The Guitar Junkyard started in 1979 in Ames, Iowa, and I had worked previously for another music store for 2 years, and in that amount of time they decided to close their operation, and I was at Iowa State University, and I had 3,000 customers that I was dealing with, at least that probably. And I decided, well, I have a perfect opportunity right here to start my own business. So I went to the bank and with $5,000 started a business. It's probably unheard of these days to do that. But with $5,000 I went and started a business. And I called companies up, and I was already doing repair work, and that's what I felt was important, was the repair work was going to be the main theme of the shop. Originally the shop was called Major Minor Fretted Instruments, but at the time that I was going to open up the store, I had already come up with the name Guitar Junkyard. And right before we opened, my wife said, "That's not a really good name for a beginning store." So I thought about it a little bit, and I said, yeah, that you might be right, and probably we should think of maybe something else. But I had had a stained glass window made for the shop already that said Guitar Junkyard. So I decided to change the name. I had a friend in a band called Willie Tune 'em Up and the Major Minor Boys. And I thought the major minor thing was really a good idea because I was going to do major repairs and minor repairs. I was going to have major quality instruments and minor quality instruments. So I thought, that's a good name for the shop. I'll call it Major Minor Fretted Instruments. So I started out in 1979, and about 5 months later, a friend of mine came to me and said, "I'd like to sell records out of your shop. Would you like to go in a partnership?" And I said, well, I put in $5,000 for my end of it. You'd have to put in $5,000 of records and cabinets and paraphernalia. And he said, okay, I'll do that. So we went into the record business for a while. I did the guitar repair work, I sold the strings, and he sold the records. About 3 months later, he decided he wasn't into the record business that much, and he asked me to buy him out. And I said, well, I have nothing to do with the records. I've done nothing to do with it. You know, you're the one who started that. And he was sort of headstrong about it, so I bought him out. I had to go to the bank again and say I need another $5,000. So for $10,000, my first year business, that's what I started on. And I could really care less about the records. I really didn't even know how to order them up and do all that stuff. But I got into it anyway. But Guitar Junkyard was born, and we pledged along. That was in 1979, and we went to about 1977 when the business was going very well. And I decided the only thing that was wrong was students were coming in from the college and they were telling me that I was too far away from them. So I said, okay, I've made this money, I'll open up a secondary shop down in Campus Town, and the kids that can't get to me here can get the strings and picks and all that sort of stuff there, and I start a lessons program there. So I found a building, put in some soundproof booths, found a friend who could run it for me, and we started 2 businesses at once now. I would never advise anybody to do that ever again, and I would not advise anybody to partnership with anybody either. So we we got going, and I was finding that a lot of students from the university, after about 6 months, were still coming to me and not going to the downtown store. And I couldn't understand why that might be. So a friend of mine came to visit me, and I said, hey, why don't you go down to the campus town store and just walk in like you're a nobody and see what's going on down there. So he went down there, and he comes back and he says, oh, that guy you got working for you isn't doing a very good job. He's actually not doing much at all. And he says he's not helping the business out at all, and he just doesn't have a good personality like you do. So that didn't work. So I decided to close that business down and just still work off of my main business. In the process, I wanted to get a little bit bigger building, so I rented another building which was closer to campus, but not in downtown Ames, Iowa. And it was a nice, it was a repair garage at one time, but it had no windows in it, and I hated it. I hated not having windows so I could see out. But it had a lot of room, and I put a fully functional, like, recording studio up in the very top of it, and I would have jam sessions up there once a week. And I had bought a PA, so I had all the PA, I had a mixer, I had everything to do, and we could run it as a live show. And it worked out really well. People liked and enjoyed doing it, and it helped me a little bit in my business form. Well, then everything was going good again. I had paid, about in 1985, I had paid off all my bills from my trial of a second business in 1978 or 9. And I paid off all the bills, and I had paid my loan off already, so that was good. And I decided to, my wife got an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and work for the federal government. And I said, I don't want you going there by yourself. So I decided to hire an apprentice who I had been working with to run my shop while I was gone. And I would periodically come back and run, see what was going on. So I put this individual in charge of my business, and everything was good for the first year. And then the second year we were in D.C., things started happening where I would call the business and I wouldn't get an answer. I would call the business and the phone had been disconnected, and I was wondering what was going on. So I said, I have to go back and see what's going on. So I got a plane ticket and flew back to Ames, Iowa, and I walked into my store, and here was every guitar that I had basically in the place on a table with parts missing on it and no inventory to sell. And I asked the guy, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I had to rob some parts off of the instruments. And I said, no, you don't do that. And the phone had just been disconnected. And I said, why didn't you pay the phone bill? And he said, well, I had to buy parts for these guitars. And I said, no, you pay the phone bill first and you don't do the thing. So I said, I want you to take a week off and go, I'm going to see what's going on here. So I did. And I found out that plenty of things were going on, and he was not doing it. He was playing pool in the building next door more than he was working at my shop. So I fired him, and I had a friend in town who said that he could run the shop for me until I had another friend down in Texas who was not happy with his job down there to take over. So that's what took place. I fired the apprentice, and he did whatever he went off to do. I really haven't talked to him since. And then I hired another gentleman, and he had been in a band with me, so I knew him a lot better. And he had worked in a store previously, so he knew how to repair. He knew the sales game, and he had a good personality. He was a good instrumental player, so the business started happening again. And up until from that time, about 1987 to 1991, I paid all the bills off that we had, and things were going again, happening big time. Well, then my wife got fired from her job at Iowa State University, which we were not prepared for. We had a 2-year-old son at this time. And so she found a job in LaSalle, Illinois, where she grew up. So I moved my business to LaSalle right here. And my first business was on St. Vincent's Avenue, down by John's North Star, which is on the north side of town. And I was in a little building called Williams Drive-In, which was previously owned by the Wietek family. But at the time it was owned by John because he had bought the whole parking lot and everything. So he rented it to me, and this was in 1990, about 96. No, 92, 93. Yeah, 92 is when I rented it. So I moved my whole business there, put it in the shop, put a little recording studio in the shop, just like I had done in the other place, and started repairing in the area, and started to get more popular. I was still selling instruments and strings and all that sort of stuff. And so I slowly developed a clientele, and in about 1998, my landlord came to me and said, I'm going to make a parking lot out of this building, or I'm going to double your rent. So I said, well, can you give me a month to look for a building? So in that month, I found the building that I'm in right here at 1004 8th Street in LaSalle. And it used to have a video shop in it, but now it was vacant. So it was a shop I had looked at earlier anyway, and they had a video shop in it, so I knew I couldn't rent it. So I started renting it from them, and I rented it for 20 years. And now all the time, my business is getting better and better and better and better and better. And I'm paying my bills at least, and other businesses are moving in and trying to do a music store and going out of business, but I'm still doing my business, and everything is still going good. And it's still gone good. I've been able to keep the business open while others haven't, and it's a matter of the repair table right here that keeps the business going. It seems like there's never a broken guitar or banjo or fiddle or mandolin or any string instrument that stops coming into the store. I have plenty of things to do all the time, but I like to do daily work, and I like to get it done while somebody is, let's say somebody comes in from Chicago, they're only down here for the day, I'll get theirs done. And somebody who has 15 instruments and I'm working on one of theirs, I let that slide because they have 15 instruments. They don't need that one right away. Right. So it's now, so I rented the building in 1998, and I've been here ever since. And, well, no, 1998 is when I bought it. I bought the business in 1998. So I must have started renting it maybe like about 92 to about 95 or 6. And then I bought it in 98, and it's where the Guitar Junkyard is now, and will soon become the String Instrument Museum for the Preservation of Lutheran Education. I'm retiring from the sales game. I still will do repair work, but I'm going to create a string instrument museum for the community to learn the histories of the string instruments and to bring a little tourist attraction to the city. I think it's something that people like, people who have already come in. I've got over 260 pieces in the museum already, which we've taken pictures of and are soon to put on our website, so that we'll have a virtual museum first. And then I plan to, starting sometime in May or so, start remodeling the downstairs to make it into the museum and take my repair shop upstairs. So in a nutshell, that's how the Guitar Junkyard started. My name's Terry Feldott. I've been doing this for a long time. I minored in music in college, and I majored in anthropology. And there's a form of science called ethnomusicology, which teams those two things together. So I've given lectures, I've repaired instruments, I've run a business, I've written lectures, I've done all the things that are necessary to run a museum. But the museum will be run by a foundation when it finally gets going, and I will take over the repair department for the foundation for the instruments in the museum, and then I will hire a commercial repairman to do commercial repairs. So I hope that at some point in time you can come down and see me down here. Things really won't be changing until about May, but I would glad to have you come down and show you what's going on right now. And I'll let you have a good day, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
In my hometown, I find myself again. I look around, I see familiar things, the memories shining in my heart and mind. So young and free, it all comes back to me. Was it a dream? It was reality, a playful boy looking for another smile. In my hometown, memories abound, riding through these streets once again. In my hometown, the sights and the sounds, time take me back when you can. In my hometown, some places have not changed. The streets remain with the same old names, and I'm the same, a restless, dreamy boy inside. In my hometown, memories abound, riding through these streets once again. In my hometown, the sights and the sounds, time take me back if you can. Somehow I have ended up so far away from home. I left the place I've always known, and now I'm all alone. The windows of time are falling down. In my hometown, there's so much history, it fascinates me, the way it used to be. Time marches on, everything will soon be gone. In my hometown, memories upon, riding through these streets once again. in my hometown.